Well, the thing is that a lot of small businesses want to know how to get their tax ID number. This is important because whether you are self-employed or have a small business, it is quite essential that you have your EIN, employer identification number, also called tax ID number. So if you really want to learn more about the subject, I want you to stick around. I'm going to share with you 10 very quick steps to obtaining an EIN for free. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of the Awesome Sweaty Kiwi Show. How are you today? I hope you are doing fantastic. I'm doing marvelous, if you were to ask me. If you are doing as great as I am, go grab a cup of coffee or tea or vodka. Now let's roll. In today's conversation, we want to speak about how to get a tax ID number for your business. So whether you are self-employed or have a small business, having an EIN is really great. I mean, it has a lot of benefits. You can do a lot of stuff with it. So number one, first step, you want to speak with a professional about filing as a business. This is really important because a lot of folks have the idea they want to have a business, okay, and they want to have they don't know if they want to have an LLC, an LLP, an S corp, a C corp, a sole proprietorship. So first of all, if you haven't actually set your business up yet, it's important to speak with your accountant about putting together the proper paperwork to file as a business. So when we speak about your accountant, it does not, he or she doesn't have to be a CPA. I mean, at this stage, you can have an experienced accountant who understands the subtleties of EIN and whatnot, and that person can help you. Now, if you have the budget for it, you can speak to a CPA, a certified public accountant. You can speak to an EA, an enrolled agent, or a tax attorney. So anybody who has a clear understanding of tax matters, especially when it comes to business startups, can really help you. Okay, so simply being self-employed does not mean you necessarily need to have a tax ID number. I want to specify that. So simply being self-employed doesn't mean you necessarily need to have a tax ID number. So if you operate a business, the IRS may require you to obtain an employer identification number. Okay, so this is important. And each EIN, this is important for you to remember, each EIN is unique in the same way that your social security number is unique. So the number allows the IRS to identify your business and requires you to provide it on all of your tax documents and forms. So if you are filing, let's say you file form on 1065 or 1120S or 1120, the IRS will want you to indicate your EIN on the form. So, but very fortunately, the good news is that the IRS makes it very simple to obtain a new EIN. One thing I want to say is that there are some complications when so after you receive a new EIN, if there are changes to your business later on, you might need to keep the same EIN. What I'm trying to say is if you want to get a new EIN for the same business, it can be a little complicated, but this is another topic for another day. But if you have questions around that, please drop them below and we'll answer you. Not a problem. You need to determine whether you need an EIN. So this is the second step. So if your business employs workers, withholds taxes on the wages and salaries it pays, or you operate the business as a corporation or partnership, then the IRS requires you to obtain an EIN. So an EIN is also necessary for estates, trusts, and nonprofits organization, to name just a few. I'll go through a more exhaustive list later on. So it's really important. So, however, if you operate a sole proprietorship, and I really want to specify that, you can still obtain an EIN and use it in the same way, even though it is only required if you have employees. The bottom line is, if you are a sole proprietorship and you listen to me right now, if you're a sole proprietor, please remember, you can obtain an EIN if you want to, but it's not mandatory. We would advise you to obtain it. You never know. Okay, and there are some perks that are associated with having an EIN. This is why you want to have it, and it's free. It's very simple. Okay, so Step number 2, you want to determine whether you need an EIN. Step number 1, you want to speak with a professional about filing as a business. Step number 3, you need to determine your eligibility. So you may apply for an EIN online if your principal business is located in the United States or U.S. territories. And the person applying online must have a valid taxpayer identification number. So this can be your social security number. This can be your individual tax identification number, your ITIN, or this can be your EIN. In other words, another firm, another entity can apply for an EIN for another entity. So an entity a company that is, can apply for an EIN on behalf of another entity. So you are limited to one EIN per responsible party per day. So this is really important. I mean, what is responsible party? So according to the IRS, the responsible party is the person who ultimately owns or controls the entity, or who exercises ultimate effective control over the entity. So unless the applicant is a government entity, the responsible party must be an individual. That is what they call a natural person, not an entity. In other words, you cannot have a company, a company be the responsible party. The IRS want to have a live human person, in charge here. Very important. Step number 4, you need to gather your relevant paperwork. So this is really important. This section, a lot of small business owners underestimate the importance of it. So it is important to gather your relevant paperwork. So no matter which route you go, you will need to gather the information necessary for completing the application. So we are speaking about what? Your business name and business address, as well as what type of legal structure your business uses, like a sole proprietorship, partnership, or corporation. Now, when we talk about partnership can be broken down into several categories. Under the umbrella of partnership, you can have a limited liability company. So this is an LLC. You can have an LP, a limited partnership. You can have a limited liability partnership, an LP, and you have a triple LP. So there are a lot of I would say a lot of business denominations under the partnership agreement. And for a corporation, you can be an S corp, or you can be a C corp. So if you're an S corp, it's important to understand that you are going to have to file Form 1120S. If you're a C corp, you're going to have to file tax form 1120. Obviously you also need to file your schedules K1 for the members or partners in that business. So one thing I want to say here is that what I'm telling you here is pivotal. It is important to know before you file online, because once you start an online application, your session will expire after 15 minutes of inactivity, and you will need to start all over again. So don't do that. So this is why you want to gather all your relevant paperwork before sitting in front of your computer and start applying. One thing I also want to say here is that when we speak about your relevant paperwork, we are speaking about if you have, for instance, anything around your financials, this can also help, because there might be some questions that relate to your financial statements. And obviously, if you are a startup, you might need to actually estimate certain expenses. And the IRS, most important thing is that the IRS wants to make sure that you have the proper business legal structure, and that you have the proper documents in terms of articles of incorporation, articles of organization if you're an LLC, articles of incorporation if you're a corporation. And so this is pretty much it. Step number 5, and this is another quintessential step here. You need to determine how you want to obtain your EIN. See, when we talk about EIN, there are several ways you can obtain your EIN. And so once you have a legal business structure, you have a few options to get a tax ID number. So your accountant or financial institution may be able to help you obtain one. So there are some entities, there are some businesses that actually will just outsource the whole thing to their accountant, or to their EA, to their enroll agent, or to their tax attorney, or to their CPA. Or you can just let your bank or credit union file the paperwork for you. Yeah, This is totally possible, but you got to have the relationship. You got to have the relationship with the bank or credit union to have them handle everything for you. And if you have the resources, you can actually hire an accountant or EA or a tax attorney to get the paperwork for you. So, but if you want to do it yourself, there are three ways. There is a trifecta you need to follow. Three ways. You can use the IRS Business and Specialty Tax line. The number is 1-800-829-4933. Again, the number is 1-800-829-4833. So that's option number one. You can manually fill out Form SS4 and mail it to the IRS. We have actually covered this SS4 video. This SS4 we have a video on our channel about SS4. Line by line instructions. If you want to do the manual part, this video will be really great for you. This is option number two. And option number three, you can submit an online application for a tax ID number yourself. Okay, so when you apply it online at irs.gov, as I said, the Internet EIN application is actually the preferred method for customers to apply for and obtain an EIN. So once your application is completed, the information is validated online and an EIN is issued immediately. The online application process is available for all entities whose principal business, office or agency, or legal residence in the case of an individual is located in the United States or U.S. territories. Okay, and the principal officer, general partner, grantor, owner, or trustor, etc., must have a valid taxpayer identification number. This could be your social security number. This could be your employer identification number, or ITIN, as I said earlier, if you want to use the online application. Step number 6, you need to explain your status as a filer. This is important to have in mind because you need to actually start with which type of business structure you have. Because the IRS is going to ask you, they want to have more information about your legal structure. So this is why I was talking to you earlier that you need to speak with a professional about filing as a business. Okay, so you have a clear idea in which category you want to put yourself in which box you want to put yourself into. So are you a corporation? Are you a sole proprietorship? Are you a partnership? Are you an estate? Are you a trust? So the IRS will want to know that. So you want to start with which type of business structure you have. You want to also want to talk about the reason you are applying for an EIN and how you are related to the business. So is it your own business or you are filing on behalf of another entity? Okay, so this is really important. So for example, and we have done actually a hypothetical example for you. So if you choose, let's say, an LLC legal structure, the IRS system will ask you, what kind of LLC do you have? Is it a limited liability company that is actually allowed by state statute? Is it an LLC that is formed by you filing articles of organization with the state's Secretary of State office? Do you have an LLC that is unique? Because it has to be unique in your state. So there can be no more than one active LLC with the same name in the same states. So those are really important. So this is why you want to verify name availability before filing for an LLC, before choosing the name in the first place. So for federal tax purposes, an LLC may be treated as a partnership or a corporation, or be disregarded as an entity separate from its owner. So if you have, let's say, a single member, for example, if you are a single member LLC, the IRS may treat your LLC as a disregarded entity unless you elect to file taxes as a corporation or as a partnership. So an LLC can have 2 or more members. That's what we call multi-members, or one member, single member. So an LLC can have an unlimited number of members. This is important. And all LLCs members may include individuals, corporations, other LLCs, or foreign entities. And LLCs are not, and I repeat, are not incorporated, and they do not file articles of incorporation. I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of the Awesome Sweetie Kiwi Show. I'm still explaining to you how to get a tax ID number for your business. And step number seven, you need to answer 5 short questions. So the first question requires you to select the type of EIN you are applying for, such as sole proprietorship, corporation, LLC, or estate. You then need to choose the option that best describes why you are applying for an EIN. So this can be to start a new business, for banking purposes, or for a range of other reasons. Okay, so I'm going to break it down for you. Let's just go through the questions here. So it's important to understand that the online questionnaire then requests your name and social security number before you can finish your application. Now, in terms of your social security number, it's important to make sure that you don't make a mistake, because we have seen in our practice that not a lot, but some businesses make the mistake when they apply for an EIN. They put the wrong social security number, and this could be a devastating error. So don't do that. So the IRS will ask you, why is the LLC? We go back to our hypothetical LLC that we chose. So the IRS will ask you, why is the LLC requesting an EIN? So you need to choose the one reason that best describes why you are applying for an EIN. So you have 5 options. I started a new business. So this is so if you have a brand new business and you just need an EIN for tax purposes and also for banking purposes, this is a valid reason to actually ask for an EIN. Or I hired employees. So you select this option if you already have a business and need to hire employees. Okay, so let's say you just started as a sole proprietorship or as a single member LLC, and comes the point where you are growing like crazy and your business is growing like crazy, and so you want to hire people, then you need to have an EIN. Or you can get an EIN for banking purposes. Okay, so you want to select this option if the reason for applying for the EIN is strictly to satisfy banking requirements or local law. Or let's say you have changed the type of organization, so you want to select this option if you are changing the type of organization you currently operate, such as changing from a sole proprietor to a partnership, changing from a partnership to a corporation. So this is what I was telling you earlier. Once you choose an EIN, to change it might require filing another application. So be very careful here. Or the 5th option is if you purchased an active business. So you want to select this option if you are purchasing a business that is already in operation. Step number 8, you want to read the application rules and guidelines. This is really important. So once you have a thorough understanding of what's involved, click Begin Application at the bottom of the page. You are related to, so if you are related to the business, make sure that you explain that, okay? And because the IRS wants to make sure when it comes to rules and regulations, they want to make sure that you are related to the business. In other words, this is your business, or this is you're applying on behalf of another business. It has to be clear. Your interest in this application must be really clear to the IRS. Okay. Step number 9, you want to submit your application. So after all validations are done, you will get your EIN immediately upon completion. You can then download, save, and print your EIN confirmation notice. And number 10, you want to receive your EIN immediately. Okay, so you will need this number for any future business dealings like filing taxes, opening a business bank account, or signing contracts. So make sure that you save you got to save the document. Please save the documents. So once the system, the IRS system, generates a new EIN for you, you can begin using it immediately. Okay, so an official IRS document will load onto your computer, which confirms that your application was successful and provides your EIN. It's always a good idea to save a copy on your computer and to print one for your records in case you forget your EIN. Okay, now if you ever lose your EIN, you can always call the IRS Business and Specialty line. Okay, this is the tax line. The official name is the IRS Business and Specialty Tax Line. So the number here is 1-800-829-4933. So when you call, the representative will require some identifying information to ensure you are the person authorized to receive the EIN. Okay, so once you finalize your application and are assigned an EIN, remember the number can never be canceled. Never. So, however, if you find that you don't need the EIN, the IRS can close your business account, but the EIN remains available to you if you ever need it in the future. It will not be reassigned. So this is important to understand. So an EIN is a unique number and it can only be assigned once. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate it. In today's conversation, I was just talking to you about how to get a tax ID number for your business. And so number one, speak with a pro about filing as a business. Number two, determine whether you need an EIN. Number three, determine your eligibility. Number four, you want to gather your relevant paperwork. Number five, you want to decide how to obtain your EIN. Number six, you want to explain your status as a filer. Number seven, you want to answer 5 short questions. Number 8, you want to read the application rules and guidelines. Number 9, you want to submit your application. And number 10, you want to receive your EIN immediately and save it somewhere. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate it. I will see you another time. But until then, remember, stay marvelous.